Frequently, when I talk to sales leaders about hitting targets, they go straight to activity, straight to results, straight to numbers, and they talk about applying more pressure to their teams. Recently, I was working with a leader in the insurance industry who was convinced that the key to getting results was tripling down on activity targets. But here's the thing, he wasn't getting the results and his team wasn't hitting their numbers, it was just applying more pressure. But here's something that may change how you're thinking about this. If you're just focused on applying pressure on your team, you're actually pushing them further away from their numbers, not closer. The real key to success isn't your CRM or your activity targets. It's something much more fundamental. It's how you show up as a leader. Let's talk about trust. When was the last time you delivered exceptional results with a team that didn't trust each other, or a team that didn't trust you? I'll wait, because it doesn't happen. I've worked with countless teams, and here's what I've seen over and over. The teams that are hitting their targets are the teams where the leaders focus on creating genuine, authentic trust. One of my clients in banking were struggling. They had a team of A players, but they weren't hitting their targets. Why? Because every team meeting felt like a defensive game of chess. Nobody wanted to share their challenges, their real issues, or ask for help. They were too focused on protecting themselves. Here's where it gets interesting. When the focus shifted to trust, they started having real conversations about the real challenges they were facing. The team started sharing ideas with each other without fear of judgment. And here's the thing, their numbers didn't just improve, they skyrocketed. I sometimes hear people say this is soft skills, or the soft part of business, or it's fuzzy. My perspective is trust is the real currency of high-performing teams. And here's the thing, when your team trusts each other, they take smarter risks, they collaborate with each other, and they actually start sharing issues early enough that you can actually mitigate them. Here's a radical idea. Your team's success, it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being as a leader. Stick with me on this. I've seen many sales leaders get stuck into the tactics, micromanaging, firefighting, and getting into every deal. Does that sound familiar? Here's the thing though, the more you do, the less your team grows. Let me illustrate this. Last year I was working with a leader, super brilliant guy, technically amazing, and his team was coming to him with every question and every client issue. Does that sound good? It really wasn't. What was going on was his team was underperforming, and he was regularly working over 70 hours a week. He was the bottleneck in the business, and he was at a breaking point. However, I'm happy to tell you, he made the most difficult shift a leader can make. He went from doing everything to being a true leader. He went from giving answers to asking great questions. He went from solving all problems to actually coaching and developing people. He actually went from trying to be a hero to developing heroes. It's not about sitting back and watching your team struggle. It's about showing up differently. When a sales rep brings you an issue or a challenge, resist the urge to solve. When you're doing a pipeline review, don't just focus on the numbers. Ask questions and understand their thinking and cause them to think more deeply about how they're moving deals forward. When a deal is stuck, don't just swoop in and rescue. Actually coach and develop your sales rep to solve the problem themselves. They'll be more committed. I promise they'll love their ideas more than they like your ideas. If you take this approach, you'll be shocked by the results. Let me tell you something that might blow your mind. The more complex your sales targets, the more sophisticated the relationships need to be on your team. And I'm not just talking about knowing what their coffee order is. In today's market, hitting your targets isn't about individual performance anymore. It's about bringing together and building high-performing teams with sophisticated relationships that can solve complex problems and go after complex deals. So what does sophisticated relationships really look like in a sales team? Here's what sophisticated relationships look like on a high-performing sales team, where you have reps sharing best practices and ideas with each other without fear of competition, where they're jumping in to help each other solve problems and close deals, where failures are shared and lessons are learned, and where feedback is the norm in all directions, not just flowing down. But here's the game changer. You actually have to measure this stuff. Not just the sales numbers, but the actual behaviors that you want your team to bring. Are your teams asking each other for help? Are they sharing client insights proactively with each other? And maybe here's the most important one. Are they celebrating others' wins just as much as they celebrate their own? All right, let's get super practical and super tactical here. I'm going to give you 3 tips that you can literally implement tomorrow morning to help transform your team and their performance. Tip number 1, flip your one-on-ones. Change them from just being about to-do lists and talking about numbers and turn them into coaching development discussions for your team members. First 15 or 20 minutes of your one-on-one, allow them to bring a challenge, something that they're trying to think through where they need some support and they need some brainstorming and some ideation. You can ask some great questions here, you can brainstorm, and you can drive action. This builds confidence in them and it gets them to the point where they can start to work through these issues on their own. Second part of your one-on-one, share one area where you think they have an opportunity to build and develop. Give them the feedback on this, and then again, brainstorm and coach and ideate to help them come up with an action, and make sure that they walk out of every one of these meetings with 1 or 2 clear actions that you've documented and you can follow up on in your next meeting. Last thing in the one-on-one is make sure you're celebrating a win or a place where they've made progress on something that you talked about in your last one-on-one. Tip number 2. Create collaboration opportunities. Start each meeting with a success story about someone who got help from a colleague or who got a win with support from a colleague. Set up deal clinics where reps bring their hardest challenge, their hardest deal, and the team works on it together. Reward and recognize those who help others win. The magic happens when this becomes part of your culture, not your rule book. Tip number 3, measure what really matters. Track your sales numbers and your activity numbers for sure, but also measure and track these behaviors. How often do team members share best practices? Who's helping who with deals? The quality and quantity of feedback between team members. The number of deals won through collaboration. And for extra marks on that feedback side, you may, as a leader, want to start soliciting feedback for yourself to normalize it in the business and in the culture. Here's your 30-day challenge. Pick one of these tips. Start implementing it and commit to it fully. Document and track the changes you see. I guarantee you'll start seeing shifts in your team, how they function together, and in the results that you're getting, not over months, over weeks. And remember, this isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about changing how you show up as a leader. As you go from being an answer person to a question person, you'll see the impact you're having on your people. You'll feel great about the results you're having, and your business will thrive. Here's the truth. Your team already has everything they need to be successful. It's your job to create the environment for them to show up and do their best work, which will drive the results in your business. It starts with you. Once again, my name is Simon. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and share this video with a sales leader who you think needs to hear this. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.